Hey everyone, this is the Peaceful Warrior here to give you my latest review / rant of Naruto chapter 602. So this week's chapter opens up with flashbacks, and Obito is lying in the bed, and he's wondering whether or not he's dead. Where is he? What the hell's going on? And he sees Madara talking, and he's like, "What do you mean? I'm between my world and the next." And the first thing that comes to Obito's mind is this guy must be the Japanese version of the Grim Reaper, here to take me, officially to heaven or hell. And Madara assures him, dude, no, I understand I got this sickle, but that's not me. So then Madara tells him, like, I saved your life. You did manage to survive. Although how you managed to survive, I don't understand. It's almost as though you managed to slip through it. And the first thing that comes to mind when he says that is perhaps Obito did manage to activate or use his space-time migration jutsu unknowingly to avoid the full damage of the impact from the boulder. But nonetheless, Obito's like, alright man, well thanks a lot, I really appreciate it. And Madara's like, hold on, I don't know if you want to be, thanking me yet, because now that I've saved your life, there are a few things that I want you to do. And Obito's like, dude, I believe in helping old people, but, there's a war going on right now. My friends are out there fighting. I finally awoken my Sharingan. I just begun working goodwill with Kakashi. I finally have enough power to protect Rin. And so while Obito is on this tangent, Madara cuts him off, and he begins expounding on the Uchiha worldview about how, just as there's light, there's always dark. Just as there's love, there's always hatred. And nothing's ever going to change. We're trapped in an endless cycle of violence. And while Madara is going on his tangent, Obito's like, oh my goodness, this cat is not going to shut up anytime soon. And just when he's thinking this to himself, Madara's like, I bet you somebody's alive because of your wounds. And just then Obito's like, man, so what? That don't mean nothing. Dude, listen, man, I'm out of here, and that's that. And just as he's saying that to himself, Madara begins walking away like, alright, if you want to try, you can go ahead. But you're not going to get very far. Because, whatever. But, so Obito was thinking to himself, and he's like, okay, I've met almost all the old people in the village, and I've never seen this guy. So he's not a shinobi of the leaf, yet he has a Sharingan. So who the hell is this cat? And he asked him that, and Madara has these tubes sticking out of his back, and they're obviously hooked up to something, but he finally gets over to the place where he wants to sit down, and he's like, you could say I'm a ghost of the Uchiha. I'm Madara Uchiha. And just like everybody's reaction to someone claiming that they're Madara, Obito's like, man, get the hell out of here. He died a long time ago in a faraway era. And so Madara's like, so it's easier for you to believe that I'm the Grim Reaper than for you to believe that I'm actually Madara. Well, in one sense, that partially is true, because this reality is hell. And so he talks about how he's he's pretty much on life support. That's the thing. Madara is virtually on life support from the Mazo, and he's getting chakra infused into him in order to keep him alive. And he says, if somehow I was to become detached, then I would die right away. And Obito's like, look, I've had enough of this, I'm gone. And he tries to get out the bed, he falls, he's really not in control of his body. And Madara's like, yo, listen, you're not going to be able to leave here. I'm not even able to leave here. Not in our current bodies. And if you keep moving like that, then Hashirama's artificial body that stuck to you is going to be ripped off and you will die. And in this moment, the first thing that comes to my mind is why is it that Madara put an artificial body on Obito? And the first thing that comes to my mind is something that the Edo Tensei Madara said to the 5 Kages when he was fighting them all in chapter 576. But he was particularly talking to Tsunade. And he said, listen, Hashirama's techniques were on an entirely different scale than yours. In addition, he could also heal himself without having to use any hand signs. And so when I think about Madara talking about Hashirama's medical abilities, I now think that that's somehow connected to the reason why Madara has an artificial body of Hashirama attached to Obito in order to keep him alive and to ultimately heal him. I think that there are some secrets about Hashirama's body that we don't yet know. I mean, I understand that Madara Uchiha is supposed to be stealing the show right now, so to speak, during the course of this war. And I know he's supposed to be the holy grail of the Naruto universe, if you will. But the truth of the matter is that there are still things that we don't know about Hashirama's body. We don't know about all the secrets of his body. And he's actually more of a key to the war than Madara actually is, because Madara is dependent upon Hashirama's power. And so he has to understand Hashirama's power in order to depend on it and leverage it for his use. So I just want to keep that in mind, and I would like to hear you all's thoughts about that. Continuing on, Madara is like, there are quite a few things that I want you to do for me, so don't be so eager to die. And that's when he hints about his project Ski no Mei, and Obito's like, look, I don't care, man. I have a life, okay? I have a life. I'm a part of this world. I have my place in this world. I have bonds with certain people, and you know, I have dreams and goals, and so it's time for me to get back to that. I'm not supposed to be laying up here in limbo. And he tries to get away, but, you know, he's just not able to control his body, and he's just hurting himself. And so Madara is like, look, you can die if you really want, but I'm just going to take your Sharingan. And Obito's like, dude, you already got a Sharingan. Why the hell would you want mine? And Madara is like, well, technically speaking, I do have a Sharingan. But truthfully, these are not my real eyes. This is just a spare that I got implanted after I gave somebody my real eyes. So, right here in this moment, the first thing that comes to my mind is, if we have Obito, who's, you know, practically on life support himself, and we have the real Madara, who is actually on life support, then who the hell is the Madara Uchiha we see in flashbacks with Itachi and with Kasami, who has Madara's hair, but it's not gray and white, and Madara isn't decrepit? That Madara that we see in Kasami's flashbacks and that we see in Itachi's flashbacks, he is a grown man in his prime. I'm talking about the Madara that we see also controlling the 4th Mizukage. He has all black hair like Madara's hair. And he must be this person that Madara has left his real eyes to. And the only person that comes to my mind is Zetsu. So I also want to hear what you all think about that. And I'm in particular, well, it's going to vary depending upon where you all are watching or reading this chapter from, but it's towards the end of the chapter. He says he left his real eyes to someone else. So I'm convinced that he's left his real eyes to the guy we see controlling the fourth Mizukage, and he's also the guy who recruits Kasami, and he's also the guy who talks to Itachi. Like, that guy has Madara's long black hair, as if Madara is still in his prime, but he's wearing a mask. And I believe that is the guy who has Madara's real eyes. So that's somebody outside of the real Madara and outside of Obito who's at work in the ninja world trying to advance Project Ski no Mei. So we need to have, our own theories about that. And like I said, I look forward to hearing what you all have to say about that. But getting back to it, he's like, Madara's like, I only have a left eye, I don't have a right. And you need both eyes in order to awaken their full potential. And then Obito's thinking to himself, well, if that's the case, that means that working with Kakashi can actually make me stronger. And we can become powerful enough to be able to protect Rin. And so he's like, oh man, I definitely got to get back now. And so there's a little thing that says unyielding spirit. So that's where we are right now. So a couple of key points to take away from this chapter. First of all, Madara did not do some ultra secret technique in order to rescue Obito from the rock slide. In fact, Madara is like, I don't know how you're still alive. You should be dead. It's almost as though you slipped through it and were able to avoid the rest of the damage from the boulder. So perhaps that's when Obito first awakens his space-time migration jutsu unknowingly. So that's first of all. Second of all, we know that the Madara we see in flashbacks with Kasame, also controlling the fourth Mizukage, and also talking with Itachi shortly before the Uchiha clan slaughter, that is not Obito or the real Madara. That's somebody who Madara has left his real eyes to. And the first person, like I said, that comes to mind is Zetsu. And three, last point, you need both eyes to awaken their true potential. And Obito has a flashback, thinking about how he gave his other eye to Kakashi. And he's saying, working with Kakashi, I'll be able to achieve my full potential, as will he. And together, both of us will finally be able to protect Rin. So those are pretty much the major points to take away from this chapter. So all in all, it's actually a pretty good chapter. At first when I read it, I wasn't that keen on it. I wasn't that high on it. But after really thinking about it and, analyzing it, this is really a good chapter. But with that being said, I would still like to hear you all's thoughts. So, you all know the drill. Rate, comment, and subscribe. And I look forward to hearing what you all have to say. Peace.